Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We're coming to you from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio in Newark, New Jersey. Once again, we're joined by our friend Patricia Teffenhart, who is Executive Director of the New Jersey Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Good to see you, Pat.
Nice to have you. Oh my gosh.
No, it's great to have you.
Well, thank you.
And while you're doing that, you tell folks what the organization is. We'll put up your website right away.
Yeah, we're the New Jersey Coalition Against Sexual Assault. We've been around since 1981. And we represent New Jersey's 21 county-based rape crisis centers and the Rutgers University Office of Violence Prevention and Victim Assistance. And we are really busy right now.
You know, I've asked you this before. I'm going to ask you in a different way.
Yeah.
Are there more sexual assaults taking place? Or is there a whole societal, environmental thing going on where just there's more reporting of what has been happening all along?
Definitely more reporting of what's been happening. You know, as I mentioned, we've been around since 1981, and I would argue that my predecessors were clamoring for opportunities to have interviews like this, or to have bills representing survivors in the legislature.
Sure.
And now people are actually really paying attention.
For real? Versus, hey, this is what we're doing right now. It's a bit of a fad, which it's anything but that.
That is an excellent question.
I don't have the answers. I just have the questions. But seriously, do you see this potentially a year from now? Hey, didn't we already do that thing?
So I would think if you had asked me this question a year ago, at the beginning of the Me Too movement, I might have been very skeptical. I quite honestly remain moderately skeptical. This is a really hot topic for people to make their name on right now, right? To write a good article on it, to introduce a good bill, to say they're on the right side of the issue is a lot easier than to actually be on the right side of the issue.
Find the difference.
So talking the talk means, you know, we're going to introduce a whole bunch of conversations about policy reform. Walking the walk means actually engaging subject matter experts and then introducing the policies and moving them through the State House. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to walk the walk, but right now, currently, there's a lot of talking going on.
This is Patricia Teffenhart, who is Executive Director of New Jersey Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Steve Adubato here. This is State of Affairs. I'm curious about this. Those of us in the media who've been very focused on this, put it this way, too many of our colleagues in the media have not just been accused, but have acknowledged their behavior in this regard, which is just deplorable and unacceptable and disgusting. What role do we have?
I think everybody has a role to play, and it's
different for the media.
Yes, only because, again, going back to walking the walk and talking the talk are two very important things. Holding each other accountable, as I think is being done in ways that are more significant than before. Allowing zero-tolerance policies to really reign supreme in the workplace. And that's not just for individuals in media, that's for all workplaces.
Sure.
Right? If we say we want to create a more just and equitable work environment, then we actually have to follow through when disclosures come forward and hold those people accountable. And that means we also have to do the right, thorough investigations to get to the bottom of the truth.
You know what's interesting, Patricia? There are some friends of mine. There's a president of the United States who, no disrespect, but is not a friend of mine. I don't mean that in a negative way. Very concerned about false accusations against men. My God, you make the accusation, that person's career is over. How can we've got to get the pendulum back.
Yeah.
You say?
Oh my gosh, we hear that all the time.
So do I.
Individuals that don't have anything to be fearful of are not actually fearful. And I would argue that the stats actually operate in the other direction. For every 1,000, this is actual statistics from the Federal Department of Justice. For every 1,000 sexual assaults, 332 of them will be reported to police. 6 of them will land in a conviction.
What?
Yeah.
So therefore, the vast majority of accusations do not end in anyone being convicted.
Yep, exactly.
So this whole thing about, oh my God, you accuse someone, their career is over, that's it.
Right.
The facts don't back it up. The stats don't back it up.
Absolutely not. And when we look at what does that mean, right? So a lot of times, and particularly as we speak about employment law, for example, employers will say, well, we did a background check.
Right.
Well, what does a background check show if people aren't actually being convicted of these crimes? It shows nothing. The governor affirmed that in the spring of this year. He signed a bill into law that recognized that people working in our schools were going through hiring loopholes. They weren't being held accountable because they weren't being convicted of these crimes, and background checks weren't showing their true behaviors. So it's not just school teachers and people working in schools, it's everyone.
It's also the Catholic Church. Now, I'm going to try this again. We're going to try to get it right. We're going to talk about the Catholic Church, the sexual abuse cases that have been going on for a really long time. The statute of limitations there and in other places is 2 years.
Yes.
We're going to repeat something. We've been asking and will continue to ask the Archbishop, the Cardinal Tobin here in Newark, once again to come in. His office says that he wants to come in. I've lost count of the number of times we've asked. We will ask again, correct, Jackie? And we'll hopefully get him here.
Yeah.
Now, he's not the only one to talk about this, but he's the most significant figure in the Catholic Church. Why is that relevant as it relates to the statute of limitations for sexual assault?
It's everything right now. And in fact, this is the perfect conversation at the perfect time. I was invited to meet with the Cardinal back at the beginning of September, right as the Attorney General was launching.
And how did that meeting go?
It was a lot of good talking, and there has been zero action on their part since we met. In fact, we've launched a statewide petition that has over 375 signatures as I walked in here today of individuals that are looking to expand the civil statute of limitations, not just for those who have been harmed by the Catholic Church, but really a 2-year civil statute of limitations for sexual assault when we have a 6-year civil statute of limitations for trespassing.
Hold on, 6 years for trespassing?
Yes.
2 years for sexual assault?
And sexual assault is recognized as the second most violent crime, second only to murder. Yes.
2 years?
Yes.
What should it be?
Ideally, we would abolish the civil statute of limitations. It would be the most trauma-informed response to a crime this horrific. It would mirror what we have for criminal statute of limitations in New Jersey. It's not my understanding the legislature has the appetite for that, but...
The appetite?
Yeah.
What do they have an appetite for? 8 years, 10 years?
I think it'd be really interesting to take a look at how much money the Catholic Church has spent lobbying the legislature over the last decade and how much money they've invested in actually stopping good policy from moving forward.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Adubato. This is State of Affairs. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Atlantic Health System, NJM Insurance Group, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, NJIT, New Jersey Resources, and by Summit Medical Group,